What's going on, people? Welcome to Live Palace News. It is Sunday, the 25th of August, and things are kicking off, not by Palace playing, but by all the news that's been dropping in the last hour or so. As you can see from the title, Eddie Nketiah. It is heating up there. Update on a defender, as well as a number 10. Left wing back talks as well, and we'll also be mentioning Joachim Andersen and his comments towards Palace. Apparently, he's a little bit disappointed, so we'll be going through that and more. As always, please, if you do enjoy the content, all I ask for is for you to hit the like button if you do enjoy it, of course, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. And make sure after this to check out the Norwich match preview as we speak about the importance of the Carabao Cup. How seriously should we take it this year and more? That is posted. And tomorrow, opposition preview. Look, I'm telling you, I was talking to a few people. And I feel like from here till next week, Sunday, it is going to be busy. And then we're going to have a breather, hopefully, with the international break. Things are going to be heating up, and they already are, aren't they?
Yeah, bro. It's got to be a grind from here, man. I mean, it's got to be a grind. Like they like Dougie and Steve and OG. They should be at the facility making calls, trying to get it done, man. Like I don't care that it's Sunday, man. Deals can get done on Sundays too.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
It's not like Monday to Friday. It's
yeah,
the window's
man.
open.
Like it's open, man. So this is what you would expect from where we find ourselves right now with the needs that we have, with the moves that we made. So I hope that all the busyness, all the talk that's going to come from this, I hope it's not just that. I hope it's not just talk. I hope there's going to be some real action behind some of the things that we've seen, because we've seen within the last, maybe like the last hour, a lot of stuff has popped up. A lot of things going on that we're going to talk about. So hopefully it's not just that. It's not just talk.
Yeah, and I don't think it is just talk. We'll talk about Eddie Nketiah. We'll start it off with Nketiah, people. And let's not even waste any time because there is quite a few to get through. Bobby Manzi was the first one to report this, and David Ornstein has followed up with Fabrizio Romano as well. So all of the reliable sources have. We'll start off with what Bobby Manzi said. Crystal Palace are considering a loan with an obligation to buy for Arsenal's Eddie Nketiah after his move to Nottingham Forest broke down. David Ornstein has followed that up by saying that Crystal Palace are considering a move for Eddie Nketiah from Arsenal. 25-year-old did not proceed with Forest despite a fee of around £30 million was agreed by Forest and Arsenal. Now Palace are looking into the deal, having previously held talks with his club. Let's start off. We'll forget about the fees. Eddie Nketiah, how do you feel about that?
In the past, I haven't been the biggest proponent for us looking to bring in Eddie Nketiah, and it was less about Eddie himself and his abilities. It was more about the asking price that Arsenal was attaching to him and it being completely outlandish. Now, I think the most recent report that I caught on the Eddie Nketiah front was that I think it was Alan Nixon's report saying that we might be interested in a £25 million move. That is more up my alley as far as price is concerned for a guy like Eddie Nketiah. I'm much more okay with us making a move like that. Even more possibly okay with us maybe having that 25 million attached to an obligation on a loan, because then we're not spending a whole bunch up front. You get a guy like that for a season, and then we have to worry about making the payment at the end of this year. So either scenario at that price point, I'm okay with.
Yeah, look, with Eddie Nketiah, I think there's going to be questions asked about his goal scoring record, especially playing for a side like Arsenal who've been scoring for fun under Mikel Arteta. And I think those questions, they're right. You can ask them questions. But for me, I've always said it with Edouard and also Mateta, when they were struggling to score goals, the most frustrating thing was that they couldn't offer much to us in terms of the hold-up play. Of course, Mateta's improved so much over the past year or so. But the one thing that Arsenal cannot, and Arsenal fans, even though they want Nketiah sold, is, that I cannot disagree with is the fact that Eddie Nketiah, he is very, very good with the ball on his feet. He's also good off his feet in terms of pressing as well. There are elements to his game where he can bring in the likes of Eze and hopefully another number 10. And the prospect of that is exciting. I'll be honest, I feel like we've seen enough of Edouard. Nketiah is 100%. I think Nketiah can offer 100% more than Edouard can in terms of his overall game. The questions will be what he can do in front of goal. But I don't think, look, I think he's been stuck in the Arsenal bubble. I think he needs a fresh challenge. And we've seen it. The striker market right now stinks. It just stinks. I mean, you list me a striker that you want and we can go through them, but there ain't that many great options. For me, I look, Nketiah, it sounds typical, but he does feel like a Palace player. He's still 25 years old. He's still got room for improvement. And we've got Oliver Glasner. Look, if someone can get the best out of Nketiah, as I've said with a few other players, I have trust in this manager. I have trust in him. Now, the question is the fee involved, as well as the priority of this position, because, of course, he's not a number 10. He's a striker. So let's start off with the fee. As you mentioned, the £25 million that Alan Nixon reported. I think the timing of this is perfect for us as well. In fact, I'm going to say it on here and I've put it out as well. I would be shocked if this news about Forest still falling through is true and Palace don't get Nketiah. Arsenal have now struggled with two clubs, Marseille and Forest, to sell Nketiah. They're not in power anymore. It's been open. They're willing to sell Nketiah. So I think the £30 million, I think we can get a discount on that. I don't think Arsenal could be demanding that much. And maybe it could be a loan. A loan would be fantastic. Using the loan market, which we haven't done for a few years now. Using the loan market, open up that, that money for us to go get another defender, which we'll be talking about, and another number 10. That'd be ideal. So a loan with an obligation to buy, I think I'm all for it. Because as we've seen in the past, we've struggled with loan moves, especially not having no obligations. I think with Nketiah, he's got a lot to prove. But I really, really do like this idea. And I understand Dougie's vision. Of course, as a striker, you want your striker to score goals, but you also want your striker to bring others into the game or contribute, not just that, just contribute more than just goals, especially when you're playing for Palace. And for me, Nketiah can 100%, he can 100% do that. The question is, can he get his goal scoring form at Palace? And only time will tell. Only time will tell. And I'm not going to even write that off as well. At Arsenal, he struggled, but in a different environment, we'll see. We'll see. But for you, T, do you think Nketiah can offer a bit more than, let's say, an Edouard? Which Patrick, I mean, we've been talking in our private chat. I wonder if he's watching the stream. He's saying that he's going to laugh at me when Nketiah joins because he's so against it. So against it. He does not want it to happen.
I mean, if we're comparing Nketiah to Edouard, I mean, I think I'm a little bit more impartial to Eddie Nketiah at this point. I do agree with you in the sense that he probably needs to get out of that Arsenal bubble. I think I feel like he's maybe almost 2 years overdue from leaving there, just because he hasn't seen decent amount of playtime there in over the years, and he stayed very similar to what we've saw with Emile Smith-Rowe, and he's thriving at Fulham already. I mean, and you can see it plain and simple.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted it for that. Look, you saw that goal yesterday.
Yeah,
Even though he's right-footed, he can, as you've said as well, T, he can, still score with his left foot, and he's an exciting player.
Flash that with his left foot, like
and you saw the goal. I mean, it doesn't mean that Fulham have done the right thing spending that kind of money, because the main concerns have been about his injuries. But that's why I wanted Emile Smith-Rowe, because I think he's got that flair, and I think with Nketiah is a similar type of player, but not as a number 10, but as a forward. He's something different. He's smaller than Mateta, but Mateta has his strengths, and I think Nketiah will have his strengths. So it gives us that versatility up front. And honestly, my most ideal scenario would be to bring in Nketiah. It might be a risk because we've known that Edouard has scored for us in the Premier League. He has. Well, regardless of what I say, the stats speak for themselves. But I wouldn't be against bringing Nketiah and selling Edouard if we can before Friday. I wouldn't be against that.
If it's a possibility, I mean, because you don't want to crowd the striker room at the same time. So if something is agreed for Nketiah, then I would say that you hopefully could do it sooner than later, because if you can get it done sooner than later, it gives you more time on the back end to engage other clubs and with the intent of trying to move someone like Eddie. So, if it happens, I know it's going to be, I think, under the right terms for us, with the right things. I mean, I think one of the things that some people are going to think about is, of course, whether it's a loan or if it's an outright buy and how much it's going to be, and then you also have to consider his wages as well in this equation also. So
yeah. Carl saying, drop the hype, guys. This still ain't happening. To be perfectly honest, I don't see why JP would leave. I don't know where people are seeing this JP to Villa news. I haven't seen it myself, but we're not selling JP. I just don't see that happening at this stage. JP might want to leave. There might be, I don't know, Villa sources who put that out, but he's under contract at Palace, and we're just right now we're not looking to sell JP. So that's not even a discussion point right now. I don't think that links to Nketiah. We've been after Nketiah for a while, and I think this happens after the Forest deal has broken down. So yeah. Let's see now. Let's see now what actually happens. Let's see. So in terms of the chat, so who's actually for Nketiah, who's against it, and put down your reasons as well before we move on to the next players. We've got Lacroix to talk about, an update on him, as well as left wing back, and more. So there's a lot to talk about today, but I just want to settle the dust with Nketiah, because I do think
W or L. Put a W in the chat if you like the Nketiah move. Put an L in the chat if you don't like the Nketiah move. W or L.
Dougie or L. W. Oh, I thought you said Dougie or L. Dougie or L.
W or L.
Yeah. And also, if you're enjoying the stream, people, whilst people are doing that, please hit the like button and also send in your questions by putting a Q and a dot before it. A lot of W's, W and L, I'm seeing.
My man Nick actually did a double U.
Oh man, that just sums up Nick. That genuinely just sums up Nick. D for undecided. W, L, W, W, W. Like, there's a lot of W's. CR.
You can make a poll. Can you make a poll? You can make a poll, can't you?
Yeah, but then I'll have to go on YouTube. Like, it's easier right now.
Oh, you can do it through YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, because I would have to. I can't do a poll from here, so
gotcha.
So yeah, it's easier. People saying, would it be a panic buy? I don't think so. I think it'll be an opportunity buy more than a panic buy, because we've been after Nketiah for a year. We've done a Palace News episode 1 year ago. Not today. I'll figure out the date. Talking about Nketiah. In fact, the title of the video was, is he a number one target? Because that's what the rumors have suggested for a long time. But what happened is he signed a new contract. So we couldn't go and get him.
Because we were trying to get him. Yeah, we were trying to get him for free.
It reminds me of Saar, doesn't it? It seems like, Dougie has got the money and is like,
I told you, he wants both of his golden gooses in one. Both of those guys were golden geese for him. He's like, if I can get them both in the same one, I could see him wanting both of them for sure. So
yeah. A lot of W's. I saw a lot of W's. Of course, there'll be a few L's, and everyone has their own reasons. I understand the L's. I think the main reason for the L's, I reckon, would be his goal scoring record.
Somebody said too expensive. I saw that one earlier.
Yeah, and that's a right reason as well if you don't want Nketiah. But look, if we can get him on loan with an obligation to buy, and we open up that space, especially for this window, where we can still bring in another number 10 and a centre back, that is a positive move. And best case scenario, you sell Eddie as well. You sell Eddie, bring in Nketiah, bring in a number 10, centre back, and a left wing back, and then we're cooking. I think we're cooking.
Because if you pay 25 million for Eddie Nketiah, and then you turn around and you sell Edouard for 10, 15 million, then it makes your total striker expenditure seem a lot less heavy overall too.
Yeah, exactly. But the question is, can we find a buyer for Eddie? Which I've always leaned towards the side of yes, especially as the window's going on, because some clubs may be desperate. As I've said, the market is not great, maybe desperate for forward. And he has scored in the Premier League.
I
So,
think he could
so yeah, I
thrive in
don't know if
other
he really
leagues.
tested the market so far.
Yeah, I think he could thrive in some other leagues. Being completely honest.
Yeah, he can. I just don't want him. He's very limited, and I just don't want that at Palace, especially not under Oliver Glasner. I think he's limited. You have to feed him. He has to open his mouth, and you have to get the spoon and put it in his mouth. I think that's the best way to describe Eddie. That's how I see him, anyways. Like, he has to go for him to get involved. It's very hard. Like, he'll have some games where it's like, oh wait, hold up, nice 1 or 2 passes, etc. But for the most part, this is the reason why I've never wanted him to play as a number 10. His creativity and his passing is just off it. Like, he's a striker which you just feed him in front of goal, and sometimes we need more for that. So Nketiah, yeah, I'll take it. And let's see what others are saying before we move on to other news, because there's a lot of news to get through. It's all broken up in the last hour or so. Everything's kicking off. Looney saying Nketiah is a good player, but only feasible if we do a swap with Edouard, like T saying. Otherwise, what's the point? We have Sarr, he can play striker as well. He's a similar style of player with pace. I think Nketiah can offer more with the ball on his feet than Sarr can. But yeah, I think Sarr may have a bit more pace. But yeah, I mean, it still opens up the door. If you have Mateta, Nketiah, and Sarr as your forward options up front, I think that's pretty sorted for now anyways. You got versatility there in terms of what each player can bring to the side. It's not literally copy and paste, which is good. So yeah,
I got a Forrest guy tapping in saying that he's so happy and we can enjoy him.
Fair enough. That's how they see the situation. I think there's been a lot of disrespect towards Eddie. So yeah, I mean, let's see anyways what happens. Let's move on to the next bit of news, which is from Bobby Manzi again, and is an update on a centre back. And according to Bobby, Crystal Palace are seeking an attacking reinforcement. Actually, this is not the centre back news. This is the attacking news. Crystal Palace are seeking an attacking reinforcement before the end of the summer window. Ryan Cherki, who has just 1 year left on his Lyon contract, is held in high regard at Selhurst Park. That's good though. He's held in high regard at Selhurst Park, and we know that Lyon do want to sell him. He turned down a move for Fulham. How do you feel about him? Of course, you like him as a player, but in terms of maybe getting a deal sorted, because he hasn't really indicated that he wants to move to either Palace or Fulham. Do you think that could be the struggling part, or as the window goes on, he might not really have many options?
I mean, it's a good question, man. I think that's probably the thing that is the most outstanding at this point, as far as figuring out, what's really going through his mind. He had interest in going to Germany. He had interest in staying in France with PSG. At the same time, he turned down Fulham, which is a London club like we are. So people would think, oh, he doesn't want to come to the Premier League. We don't know. Maybe he just didn't like the fit at Fulham. I mean, Fulham did go out and sign a player that's very similar to him with ESR as far as creative ability and things like that. Maybe he's interested in London, but maybe just not that team. Where we may have a little bit of help is, we've got a significant amount of French-speaking players on our team, from JP to Czech Decore to Naui Hamada. So there may be a level of comfort there for him as far as coming in and having guys that he can relate to, speak with. Michael Elise may be able to give him some great insights into the club that may make him feel better about coming to Palace as well. Because I wouldn't imagine that Michael Elise would have bad things to say about Palace in his time with us. So we got some things that may work in our favor, along with the fact that, of course, there is the connection with between Lyon and Palace through John Textor. Lyon need to get rid of him. they need money really badly, and we know that, and that probably plays into it. He's going into the last year of his contract, so hopefully the pricing piece isn't going to be bad at all. I mean, Lyon did accept the bid from Fulham, and that was only around 12 million pounds. So it stands to be a really, really good deal as long as the player is willing to make the move. I'm gonna wish it into existence because I think he'd be perfect for Glasner's role in that right side of 10 role. And I think him and Eze would absolutely terrorize people. But we'll see.
And I think if we were to get, let's say, Nketiah, the loan thing would be massive for us. I really do think it'll be massive for us if we did manage to sort something out like that. Because I think bringing in Nketiah, because a lot of people just wanted a number 10, right? They just wanted a number 10 striker. Right. You know, we could make changes there, but it seemed unfeasible because, you know, about with our budget. But if we can get a loan move there up front and open the door for Cherki, that would be two very solid moves to improve our depth.
Very much.
And offer the versatility that, you know, maybe we've struggled with at the start of the season. But the fee isn't really a problem. It's about convincing the player. I think.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. It's not about the fee. I mean, we got the money and that euros. Fee. Yeah, 15 million euros. I mean, that's first of all, that's really up our alley as far as our the way we do business usually with bringing in younger talent. I mean, he just turned 21, I think last week. You know what I mean? So he's very much along the lines of our model. When it comes to bringing in guys. I mean, man, this dude is uber talented. Plays with both feet, amazing. He had 6 assists last year for Lyon, so he's got a decent eye for a pass. I think with being under a good manager like OG, I think he could see himself take big leaps and bounds because I know that he's probably hungry to step himself up to another level, either with the country that he's currently with or possibly making a change of country as well, playing on the international level.
Yeah, but he wouldn't. I don't know. I'm not him, but he wouldn't want to play in the Premier League. That's a bit confusing for me. I think
I fully agree with you.
Yeah, he wanted to move to PSG, but now that that's off, like I don't think, unless he doesn't really want to move away from France. I mean, playing in Premier League, a lot of players dream of that. So
yeah, Dortmund. So he wanted to go to Dortmund. I know that he was like really, really heavy into that move, and then it fell apart between Dortmund and Lyon agreeing on the deal. So he didn't go there. And then I know he really liked PSG, but PSG went in different directions, and you know, they didn't work out for him. I mean, I know he doesn't speak great English, apparently. I don't know how much that may be affecting it. But like I said, I mean, we have a lot of guys in the team that speak French. So so I think that's another thing that really helps. I mean, I get why he turned down Fulham outside of the idea of, I don't want to go to Premier League. But, you know, Fulham signed Emile Smith-Rowe. Like, that's a guy that literally is of the same DNA as him. So why would you go somewhere where they've already signed someone that pretty much is cut from the same cloth as you? Not to mention the fact that, you know, he has other wing competition. They play with true wingers. You know what I mean? If I'm him with the type of player, I'm looking to be more of an attacking midfielder. I think that's where he's going to be the most successful, the most dangerous. And in our system, with being that right-sided 10, he's going to be playing offensively more narrow. He may have to defend wide every now and again, but I feel like our system fits him better than Fulham's does too. So,
yeah. Looks like people have written off Kamada already. By the way, I haven't written off Kamada by any means.
I haven't written him off at all, but he needs to have competition at positions, and we need to have depth for sure.
Exactly, and I think that's the biggest thing about it, because down the right-hand side, with Sarr not being an outright, number 10, I think we're lacking depth in that area, and I think that Kamada Cherki, that would be amazing depth. That's what you really want. You know, two types of players which you can rotate between. So yeah, this is more of a case of how can we improve the squad more than anything. So yeah, I mean, let's see what happens, because he hasn't got long left. He's literally got less than 5 days left now to make a decision, and
it's one of those things too with
that'd be good.
Cherki. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things too with Cherki. If he doesn't get a move in this window, you could come back for him in January and get him for even less, too.
Yeah.
You know, in the event that someone doesn't come and get him in this window, if he ends up having to stay. Right. If they're forced for him to stay through this window, then you go after him in January, where he would be even less. But I personally, right now, with where he is right now, with the price that's out there, to get a guy of his talent, his ability, his age range for only what would cost us 12 to 15 million pounds, like, that's a no-brainer for me, man.
100%. It's a question of, can we convince him? But people, there's about 140 of you here, but I think we're sleeping. Normally we're not sleeping like this. We're around 57 likes. Let's see if we can hit 80 in the next 5 minutes or so. Just a little reminder, if you're enjoying the stream, of course, that would be much appreciated. Let's move on to the next bit of news.
He's two-footed, Seek, he's two-footed. He's the epitome of a two-footed football player. He does it with both. He does everything with both feet. Like, seriously.
Yeah, I mean, the question is, as I said, it's not even about
the money. Convince him. You got to convince him.
It's about the player at this point. We just got to make sure that we can get the player on board. But maybe we could do some convincing. Maybe this could be Texas parting gift.
I said that. I was like, hey, just give us a little parting gift, man. We can help you guys out.
Yeah. By the way, for everyone that sent in their questions with a Q&A dot before it, we have pinned it. Hopefully we haven't missed any, and we will answer them towards the end of the show after we are done with the latest news, because there's a lot of news that's just dropped. Let's talk about defender, and apparently it's not Lacroix, it's Lacroix. So I'm going to pronounce it right now. Yeah. Well, hopefully it is, because I'm going to pronounce him as Lacroix now.
It's interesting because the people say Lacroix, like there's a drink like that. Have you had the drink, the sparkling water drink called Lacroix? Spelt the same way. So over here in America, it's huge.
So is it Lacroix or Lacroix then? Because I've seen.
That's what I'm saying. They call it. Everybody over here calls it Lacroix, and I'm not saying that it's not the incorrect pronunciation. Lacroix. It's probably Lacroix.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways. Let's now that we got his name sorted, hopefully we can pull a move for Lacroix. According to Bobby Manzi, Crystal Palace are expected to up their bid for Wolfsburg defender Maxence Lacroix ahead of Friday's transfer deadline day move. The reported bid was around £14 million, the initial bid, which got rejected. According to reports, Wolfsburg want around £17 million. So yeah, hopefully, we just pay up if it is true, if it's only £3 million, we just pay it up next week and get it sorted even before deadline day.
It's like, what are we waiting for? If we're less than 5 million apart, get it done, man. Like I said, I don't care if it's Sunday, get it done. Now, Lacroix was not in their side today to face Bayern.
He's injured though, no?
But they were saying that he wasn't. So, and that's what I originally thought. I was like, yeah, he's injured, that foot injury. But then they were talking about the fact that he wasn't on the injury report.
Yeah, sorry. That's probably on the page. No, this comment made me laugh.
Right. 14.5.
We're planning to step up our interest.
Yeah, man, that's old Steve Parrish for you. So you won't take 14. How about 14.75?
Let's just try and get this sorted sooner rather than later.
Get it done, man. Get it done.
To get Lacroix. So now that we got his name sorted, let's get the bid sorted as well. But according to Bobby, we are planning to up our bid for him. So initially we weren't even far off. Now, now let's see what actually happens with it.
Super chat.
Yeah, the super chat from
chat
Sam.
from
who
Sam.
Gave us
Give
super
me
chat
your
last week. Thank you
lineup
so much
for
that,
next
Sam.
week,
Of course,
please.
super chats do get priority. Give me your lineup for next week, please.
Are we talking
next
Tuesday,
week,
Sam?
Tuesday or Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, we got 2 of them, so that'd be a good point.
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Well, Tuesday's one we kind of spoke about in the match preview.
So go watch the match preview. You'll get Tuesday because we talked about
that. I'm expecting a strong team. Oliver Glasner to take this competition seriously. I'm expecting a strong team. So even if you do make changes, let's say Decore or Sarr potentially coming in, I don't think we'll drop off. Or in fact, there's a potential that we even improve from West Ham game. So we're both expecting strong lineups for Sunday. Now it is it's hard to say depending on who we bring in, when we bring them in,
and how well people play on Tuesday.
Exactly. But let us know anyways if you're asking about Tuesday or Sunday, and we'll answer that in a bit more detail after you give your response. But let's move on to the next question. By the way, thank you once again, Sam, for the super chat. Really appreciate it, and every single one of you that's watching it. If you do want to support the channel, you can send in super chats, but most importantly, if you can't, that's totally fine. If you can just drop a like if you're enjoying the stream, that's much appreciated as well. Thank you to all and every single one of you. Now,
welcome to Quad.
I want to quickly. What was that?
Welcome to Quadan.
Yeah, Quadan. Hopefully we could do that. Hopefully we could actually say that with smiles on our faces once it's complete. And hopefully Tom's wrong and we don't bid £14.5 million bid after rejecting. After a £14 million bid got rejected. This one I'll mention it, but I'll be honest. Before I even mention it, people don't even laugh at me or laugh at the report because some people may do. This is according to Alan Nixon. Is that Crystal Palace are watching Wolves star Ryan Ait-Nouri, who absolutely had a stinker today against Chelsea. Wolves won over £30 million. Ait-Nouri is the Palace's first choice for a new left-sided player. Palace keeper Sam Johnson, who's fancied by Wolves, a swap could work for both parties. Ait-Nouri, he was linked with Palace before he joined Wolves. So I understand the link in that aspect. But we need a depth option at left wing back. We are on a budget. For us, even though a swap deal could help us maybe take away £10 million off that bid, I just don't see us spending £20 million for a left wing back tee.
And he's not worth it. He's not worth 30 million. Did you see that dude play today? Oh, yeah, he put on a £2 million performance today. Oh man, no way. I don't. If that's the price, that is crazy. Yeah, Madueke was. Oh my, no way, bro. Not at all. Not at all, man.
That's sorry. Why I don't even want to entertain it. But it is news, and I thought we will cover it.
And we can get really good cover for far less than that.
Yeah, they want £30 million. So the most reasonable thing that I would understand is maybe Sam Johnson goes to Wolves and we take away £10 to £15 million. So, 20 to £50 million for left wing back cover. To be fair, 15 doesn't sound that bad, but I just don't see it happening. Not this late into the window, especially for the starter left wing back. And also the questions I raised: if he was to come in, would he want to hold bench? Does he start? What happens with Mitchell? I think there needs to be, I think Gossens makes a bit more sense if we can pull that off, especially with £30 million player. I just don't see it really happening at this point of the window.
If you bring a guy in for replacement level money, they have an understanding of what they're coming in the team to be. It
would be very good depth. Don't get me wrong, it'll be very good, but I don't think we've got the money right now to go and spend that kind of money for depth option, especially as we're talking about. We need a number 10, we need a centre back, potentially a striker. So yeah, it's just too much. It's just too much for me to see as being a realistic option. But it's been mentioned by Alan Nixon, so let's see. He's got ability. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I just think the fee involved is just, I just don't see anything like that happening for that kind of money.
That 30 is crazy.
Yeah. Let's move on to the last bit of news then. We'll go through some questions and talk about general stuff before we do wrap up. And this is about Joachim Andersen, who's left the club. I thought it would be worth talking about this as he's commented on his move. And he is a little bit disappointed, according to Sports Witness. he had an interview and he said the following. He's saying that I was a little disappointed that Palace could not offer me such a deal in relation to the length. It was really a cold and cynical move from Palace, so they could also make the last coins from me. But that's how it is. It's business from Palace's side. He doesn't sound happy one bit. See, he's upset about offering him
because we didn't want to give him a 6-year deal at the age of 28.
We've been there. This is a message to Joachim Andersen. As much as you've had positives to your game and you're not a bad player, we've been here. I mean, we gave out silly contracts to players at the age of 28 or so. And what happened? We had to have a massive clear out. So, you know what? I understand he could be upset over Palace not giving him a long contract. But who over the age of 30 has, a deal longer than 1 year at Palace? Anyone?
And then to lock him in for 120K a week? Like that's
silly.
That's financial. That's financial
suicide. I'm so happy we didn't. I don't like £30 million and also not giving him a 5-year deal. I'm fine with that if that's what he wanted to say at Palace, and I understand it from his perspective, right? More security, but no, not for that kind of money as well. I'm just not for it. If Fulham want to do it, Fulham can do it. Well, they've done it, but for me, I'm happy. I'm happy about it. The fact that we weren't willing to give out those types of contracts. As I've said, who over the age of 30 has a contract that's more than 1 year at Crystal Palace? I don't think there's a single player. There's Klein.
Not since we've migrated to the new model.
Yeah, because that's not
the best you'll get it. Yeah, the best you'll get is a 1+1.
Yeah, that's that. It's not our policy. So yeah. It's not worth breaking that policy to bring in Joachim Andersen, I don't think, as good as he's been for us, especially if we're getting £30 million. But he's upset over that, and that's fine. It's life. It is what it is, and he understands that as well. It's a business. It's not a charity. Yep. You can't just give out 5-year contracts with an option for another year, potentially 6-year contracts for someone who's 28 years old. Unless, of course, let's say we had like a world-class player, then I would understand. But Andersen doesn't fit into that category, and we got £30 million for him, so it's not.
All I know is we know what Gary Cahill looked like for us at 34. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Like, no, we don't.
And he's not the fastest player right now. We spoke about that.
He's not the fastest player right now. You're only going to lose.
He's gonna get slower. He's not gonna get faster.
Yeah,
especially that pace was a problem, and there's a reason why we sold him. As much as
we're sitting there talking about the best part of his game being his passing right now. 28. What's going to be the best part of his game when he's 32? Passing, even still. Like what goes down from there? I just, it was not a good financial move, and I'm happy that it ended up the way that it did. We made the move that was good for us, with moving him on and getting the 30 million. And he made the move that was good for himself and his family and his financial security moving forward with making a deal with Fulham. I mean, I think all parties can be satisfied with the outcome.
And it's looking like it's going to be Lacroix who comes in to replace him, who's younger than him, who's got more pace. I mean, if you want to look at how much pace means to the side, just look at the 2 goals that we conceded yesterday. And see, the counter attack, especially the second goal, more than the first goal. See how much is important for the centre backs to have pace because of how much the wing backs like pushing forward. There's always going to be space, so they need to have pace. And Andersen just lacks that. And I think Glasner's probably happy with this move as well. It's not like Dougie Friedman's just doing stuff out of his own accord. I think Glasner's in conversations,
of course,
with Dougie Friedman as well. So yeah, I think it was a sensible move. So yeah, and he had a mistake in him as well. He's got the bag. Good for him. Good for him.
Good for him. And he got to stay. He got to stay in London. He probably didn't have to move or anything like that. So
yeah. So I guess he should be happy as well. Let's move on to the questions now. By the way, people, if you have any questions, you can still send them through. Put a Q and a dot before your question, and we will answer it before we wrap up the show. As you can see on the screen, if you haven't already done so, please hit the like button and subscribe, as we're aiming for 10. That's a big aim, but first of all, let's get to 6K. And the community has been growing massively. over the past month or so as well. So thank you to every single one of you that has joined us along the way. Also, check out the Norwich preview after this. That is posted. The link is pinned in the comment section down below. We can just click it and we speak about the game, the importance of the cup, some changes, youth players, and more. So if you haven't already done so, check that out as well. Anyways, now that we've gone through all of that, let's go to the questions and let's start it off with Engin, who's saying, why did the deal with Forest fall through?
I haven't
There's
seen
no
why. I haven't seen
explanation
any.
for it.
Yeah,
And
I haven't seen
look,
anything.
it might be with my Palace bias, but it wouldn't surprise me if Palace yesterday after the game knocked on the door and said to Nketiah, because of course we've been linked with Nketiah for a while, and said, what do you think about coming to Palace instead of Forest? And that wouldn't be a bad move for him, I don't think, in my opinion, because he stays in London. Yeah. So I think, who was it? Graham Bailey, right? Who said that the deal actually hasn't fallen through, even though Ornstein has, said that it has. He's going with the lines of it's stalled. I think Palace could have knocked on the door and just said, you know what, we want Nketiah. Yeah, what does it take? It won't surprise you because everything was agreed according to reports.
Yeah, I think part of it, though, the reason why it kind of favors us now is what you said earlier. They failed with Marseille. They've now failed with Nottingham. They're in a much more desperate situation than they were prior. If we were just to come in and they know we have invested interest, they just name their price and we go from there. But now it's like, hey, man, y'all been striking out. We interested, but it's got to make sense. You know what I'm saying? So I guess it's just that part of that business, that bargaining situation too.
Yeah. Tim has a question saying, does Nketiah come to play as a backup? JP is surely first choice, or would it be Nketiah as a right-sided striker in a 3-5-2?
It could be both and.
Yeah, I guess.
In certain situations,
playing in that number 10 position.
He could even possibly slide back at times. Nketiah's played on the wing before too. He hasn't solely been a striker all the time. He has made appearances on wings. So I don't know. Maybe he could. But I think versatility is an important piece, whether it's through our formations, whether it's the 3-4-2-1, or if it's the 3-5-2. So that's important, along with his ability to play in different places. So there's definitely value to a guy that can do multiple things. But I definitely think it's probably competition between him and between him and Mateta. And yeah, Mateta is the number one guy, but there's never a bad situation for him to be pushed. And who knows? Somebody comes in with a sweet deal. We never know.
Yeah. How much pace does Nketiah have? He's pacey.
He's got good pace. He's got good pace.
Yeah. It's hard to put that in a metric. But yeah, he's not slow. Let's just say that. Dan saying, question, does Glasner walk if we don't get at least 4 plays in? No.
No, I don't think so.
Because he's not even asking for 4 plays. He's always said 1 or 2 plays.
So yeah, I think you got to be worried about Glasner walking if nothing gets done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which I'll be shocked if nothing gets done. Then I wouldn't even blame Glasner walking. And trust me, this place will explode. It will explode at Palace if Glasner walk because we've got nothing done. But I'm not even worried about that. That's why I'm laughing about it. Is there even another option, D? In terms of forwards, I don't think so, really. In
terms of center forwards,
hard as it is. If we get Edward, that would be great if we could somehow sell him and maybe that opens up wages and fee for Nketiah as well. But it's looking hard right now. I wonder if we will be able to do it before the window closes. We've already answered that from Chambers. Tim with another question saying, what if Marcus Edwards comes available? Do you still take Cherki?
I think Marcus Edwards is available. I think he is available right now, but I'm still taking Cherki. Cherki's younger. Cherki's younger. He's better with his off foot or both feet. Stronger, taller. Like I'm going with Cherki. I know, but I don't fault anyone that goes with Marcus Edwards. But I personally would rather still go for Cherki. And he's gonna cost less. He's gonna cost less than Marcus.
Yeah. That's a very good point to make as well. That's going to cost less.
Yep.
Realistically, what is our budget? Well, after the Andersen and Ayew deal, I was actually looking at this yesterday. According to transfermarkt.com, our balance is positive 50 million for this window. However, I wonder what happens with the January deals. Do they get accounted as well? Could our budget be much lower than that because of the January deal? So it's hard to say. I mean, now,
and then you got
it should be around 50, even with Sarr and Riyad coming in with Andersen.
But then, and that's just off of the amount that's off of outgoings and incomings in this window. Like, do you honestly think that we came into this window, if we didn't make any moves at all, if we didn't lose anyone at all, do you think that our spending budget was £0 going into this window?
Yeah, that's
you know what I'm saying. So it's kind of like, okay, we're at 50 based on the moves that have been made, ingoing and outgoing. But it's like, let's say we came in with the idea or a budget of maybe 30 or 40 to spend in this window outside of any transactions that get made. So maybe that 50 may be like 80 million. You know what I mean? Who knows? But like you said, you also have to account for there should be
regardless, like there should be money.
We should have money, yes.
Yeah, we should have money. But right now, based on this window, it should be at least around 50 million euros in terms of that incomings and outgoings. And that's without, as T's mentioned, maybe some money that's already been put aside going into this window. So look, money's there. We have to spend it, and we will spend it. There's no question about it. Jet saying, what's going on with Decore? Pumped to see him and Walton start. Hopefully, we spoke about this in the Norwich preview, but I would like Decore to start against Norwich. If it's a case of building up match fitness, it's a perfect opportunity. I need to see him and Walton. I don't understand why he didn't come off the bench against West Ham.
Seems like they're just baby stepping him for coming back from that injury, maybe.
Yeah. Engin saying, how much of a say do you think Glasner is having on these signings, or has he turned into a young Roy?
Oh, I think he's having a good amount of say.
Compare Glasner to Roy Hodgson. I think it's
wild,
premature. Young Roy sounds crazy to me. But in terms of how much of a say Glasner's having, I think there's a normal discussion. I think they all have discussion. Look at Lacroix. Look at Kamada.
Kamada doesn't come without Kamada doesn't come without Glasner's input on
and why are we stepping up the interest for Lacroix? Lacroix, flip. Lacroix. Why are we stepping up interest for Lacroix? I think it's being obvious based on reports that Glasner's wanted him. So I think Glasner definitely has a say. And we've been listening to Glasner. I think we've been working with Glasner as well. Of course, Dougie would have his players, but I think it's just a dialogue, normal, dialogue going through in terms of who we want and who we don't want.
Yeah.
We've already answered this, Cody. Obviously looking to get Lacroix. The latest update is that, yes, we're looking to up our bid, which got rejected, the initial bid from £14 million. Guy is saying, what's that egg you're holding?
My friend, this is the American football.
The American egg ball.
The pig skin, sir. The pig skin.
Henry saying, how much of Cherki has T seen? Just curious. He seems to know a lot about him.
A ton. I've seen a lot of Cherki. So I started watching Lyon back when Memphis Depay was playing with him. I actually got the chance to go to Lyon and watch them in person. But ever since then, I've kind of been like a pseudo Lyon fan, watching them, paying attention to their matches. And I watched a lot of Cherki. A lot of him. I really, really like his game a whole lot. If you go back and look at his, the 2022-23 season, man, he played really, really well. I think overall he only had, I want to say like 4 goals and 6 assists, but could have had much more than that, honestly. But he had a really, really good year. He's a very, very talented player, man.
Yeah, he is. But they need money. They need money for him, and he's only got a year left on his contract. Would you put Lerma as a centre back? Not necessarily. I think these centre backs, they just need to go through it. We got enough centre backs. They just need to, especially Riyad, if he needs to build his confidence, if he needs to adjust to life in the Premier League, we might just have some, problems along the way, especially at the start. But naturally, his confidence will grow. So no, I wouldn't play Lerma as a centre back just yet, unless there's injuries. K Chambers saying, do you think Sterling is going Arsenal now? Eddie's rumored to be coming to us, worth a bet. I don't know. There's been no links with Arsenal. I don't think those interlink with each other. Eddie leaving and Sterling. First of all, two different positions. But I mean, they may spend some of them funds to get another forward. So yeah, it's hard to say. The dog. I love this name. Would you be happy if we ended the window with Marcus Edwards and Joe Gomez?
No. No.
The reason for that is Joe Gomez.
Like, well, 40 million for Joe Gomez.
45 to 50 million pounds for Joe Gomez. I would not be happy with that because I think that money would be better spent elsewhere. So no, I would not be happy with that. Andrew saying, who would you guys bring in as a composition for Mitchell at left wing back? I think Gosens makes the most sense in terms of he has experience to push Mitchell, where Mitchell can learn from him as well in training. But yeah, and
I'd be good with Gosens.
That's the most realistic one right now, anyways. Apart from Archie Brown,
I'd be good with Gosens or Kostic or Archie Brown. Those three, I'd be fine with.
But two of the three players mentioned there, they're very experienced players. So I think
one of them has played for Glasner.
Exactly. So I think we might go, and they will be naturally cheaper as well with the age as well. So it fits more into our budget. Is Nketiah better than Edouard? It's hard to say, but for me, I think Nketiah offers more. He offers more in terms of his overall game. So 100%, he offers more than his overall game. But in terms of scoring goals, that's a question that only time will tell because that's been the biggest question mark with Nketiah. Dan saying, what would be your perfect window? Perfect. I think what we need is at least a centre-back and another number 10. But a perfect window for me, based on the rumours, would be to bring in another striker, which in this case could be Nketiah, sell Edouard, bring in a number 10, bring in Lacroix, and also bring in a left wing back. I think that would be nearly 9 out of 10 for me. Yeah, especially considering Kamada, Sarr, and Riyad on top of that as well. And what we've done to shuffle and improve depth. I think that would be perfect. A striker, 10, centre-back, left wing back. I don't know, actually, a 10 out of 10, which, as I've said, will never happen, will be the right wing back as well, but that's not going to happen.
I think my ideal end or the perfect end to this would be, like you said, a striker. So in this situation, we'll just say for the sake of it, Eddie Nketiah. You get somebody like a Rayan Cherki. And then, of course, Maxence Lacroix. And then I'm going to try to do one in the same. And maybe you get somebody who can cover both wing back positions, like, I don't know, like an Ola Aina or somebody like that.
Yeah, exactly. But that way we're asking for perfection. It's very hard.
That's exactly. It's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah. First of all, let's just get a centre back and a number 10 sorted. Or forward, and then from there we can talk about other positions. Mika saying, hey, question, Glasner really needs the combination and position switches in transition game, especially in the half spaces. I analyzed the game yesterday, and the problem often was the decision by making Eze.
Decision making by Eze.
Follow up to that?
He's saying the problem is often the decision making by Eze.
Oh, okay. Often was the decision making by Eze. Okay. Yeah, as well as I think Eze could have released the ball a few times. We spoke about in the live match reaction, even though there's a lot of responsibility on Eze now to create because the right hand side was not even in consideration.
The pressure to do too much, because you need those moments of brilliance. You're dependent on those moments of brilliance from Eze, and he probably feels that pressure too when it gets late in the match, and we need something. In particular, it's kind of like the same situation we would see from Wilf, when we would be down and Wilf is pressing to try to make something happen for us.
Yeah. Look, people, there's so many questions and we're nearly gone on for an hour, so we're going to have to wrap up here. But if you do really want your questions answered, put them in a comment section down below after we wrap up. Apologies. We weren't even initially planning to go live today, but we thought, you know what? we better come here. As I said, we're going to deliver as soon as there's news. We're going to be here to update you lot and have a conversation. But if you have enjoyed this, please hit the like button, subscribe. And now is a perfect opportunity to click the pinned comment to see the Norwich preview if you haven't already done so, to get your mind off the West Ham game and looking forward to a potential cup run. Do we want a cup run? Do we have a squad for a cup run? All of those questions were answered. Thanks to every single one of you that's been watching. And until next time, up the Palace.
UTP.